Hi, guys. Welcome to the chat. Hello. This is going to be a little bit of a different live chat. I decided to do one on. I can take these off now that I'm looking at my camera. It's my computer screen where I'm like, oh God, I can't look at this light any longer. But I decided to do a live chat tonight on Monday. I did a poll on my channel a couple minutes ago, or maybe I should say a couple hours ago. And I asked, do you guys want to come on live tonight? So that's what we are doing. So I'm hoping that you guys will get the information and you will be able to trickle over from wherever you are. So tonight's live chat, number one, I want to give some recognition to Dr. King as well, because this is a very important day and night that we need to at least reverence. And then I want to talk about emotionally detached parents, and that is the live chat that you guys had chosen on my poll for tonight. So, hello, Chatty Chicky. I see you. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight. I also saw Fairy Girl. Hello, welcome to the chat. And then I also saw Mel Kep. I'm going to make sure I have your name right. Let me make sure. Yeah, Mel Kep. Hello, welcome to the chat as well. So I'm just gonna, continue on talking a little bit, and I know you guys will probably come over from wherever you are. I see you guys signing on little by little, so glad to see you. Hello, Cheryl, welcome to the chat. Haven't seen you in a while, so glad to see you. And Natasha B, hello, happy MLK Day as well. Right before you came on, I just highlighted that we need to at least reverence Dr. King in tonight's live chat. Hello, Melkep, I see you. And kind of offer him some recognition, give him some recognition for everything that he's done for those who not only look like me and look like most of the people of color who have benefited from his peace talks, but also the world internationally, right? He did a lot for us in terms of helping us with our civil and social rights. He was a social activist, a civil rights activist. He was very passionate about what he believed and what he said, and he moved a lot of barriers, a lot of mountains that were in the way, not only for people of color but for people who are not of color. I actually did an article on LinkedIn yesterday about Dr. King, so I will post that in the description box for those of you who are interested in going over that and reading it. But it just so happens that for MLK Day, or Dr. Martin Luther King Day, I did get a chance to look over my own book, which is published February the 1st on racial trauma, more specifically for adolescents, but it takes on an intergenerational feel. The entire book does. And so yesterday, and going over my book before it's actually published by the publishing company, kind of getting a chance to touch it and see it and kind of see where it is, where it's going and where it's supposed to be. Doing that yesterday encouraged me and kind of inspired me to do that article on Dr. King, because if it wasn't for him, I would not be able to write those kind of books, right? So I'll post that link in the description box for you. Hello, K-Bon, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. I don't remember you before. So well, welcome to the chat. You must be new. So you're saying finally made it to a live kind of on time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you did make it on time. We're wrapping up at 6:30. So we have a little bit of time. So welcome to the chat. Hello, Sam. Welcome to the chat. So nice to see you. A lot of you said to me a couple of chats ago that the 9 p.m. time is hard, and I know it is, but believe it or not, that's the only time that I have to do live chats, because my days are so busy seeing clients and families and kids, and the list goes on, so training people. And so I'm going to look at that 9 p.m. time moving forward for sure, but I'm so glad you guys could make it today. So let's jump into what our topic is, okay? It's emotionally detached parents, and I'm going to highlight a little bit what's what's going on there. There's a lot of videos on emotionally detached parents, parents who are just emotionally unavailable. They have their own trauma, they have their own attachment issues. And you can just about Google and type into the search engine on YouTube, emotionally detached parents, and it pops up like you wouldn't believe. Like there are literally millions and millions of videos and topics on this particular theme. And let me just say, there's a book that inspired a lot of these videos. And let me see if I can bring it up on my cell phone for you guys, because I'm sure a lot of you would be interested in seeing the book. It's not my book, it's a colleague's book. And it is, let me see if I can pull it up, okay? If I can spell, oh my goodness. Here we go. It's Adult Children of Emotionally Detached Parents. It's on Amazon if you haven't seen it already. And here, let me see if I can you guys see that? So here's the book. It's Adult Children of Emotionally Detached Parents. Sorry, guys, that is somebody texting me. Okay, let me turn this off so that you don't see this. Okay, so Adult Children of Emotionally Detached Parents, here it is. You can get it on Amazon. And actually, we are under the same publishing company. So I guess I am promoting a colleague, right? But it's a fantastic book. And what the book does, and this is not promotion by any means. I'm not promoting my own publishing company or my colleagues in any way. I don't want to do that because, that gets a little sticky. But let me just give you an overview. Reading that book many, many years ago, not knowing that this was a huge topic at the time, I found this book to be pretty interesting because it not only picks and pulls apart the emotionally detached parent, but it gives you categories that they fit into so that you can then kind of identify your own parent and be able to kind of put them side by side to see what kind of emotionally detached parent you have. Now, let me just say, emotionally detached parents tend to be different depending on culture, age, parenting style, what the issues are that has made them so emotionally unavailable and detached. There's so many things that can make these kind of parents so difficult to identify and to categorize. The kind of emotionally detached parent that I'm going to be talking about tonight is a little bit of what I call the triggering parent, because they not only are emotionally detached from their adult child, but they've been emotionally detached for that adult child's entire developmental time, right? Their entire life. And so that makes your world, if you are the product of an emotionally detached parent, it makes it really difficult. I know a lot of you who are signing on now, have had experiences with emotionally detached parents. And let me just recognize somebody else that just signed on. Hello, blessed in every area of my life. Welcome to the chat. Glad to see you on tonight. You're usually my Wednesday person, and you too, Cheryl, and Fairy Girl and Mel Kep. So I'm so glad to see you tonight. So Natasha says, yes, that is a very good book. I had to read it twice. Yes, it is a very good book. I love it. So for those of you who haven't read it, I encourage you to go ahead and read that book. It is good. All right, so let me highlight what this emotionally detached triggering parent actually is. Okay. I've had professional experience with this kind of parent, and let me just tell you, it is really angering. It's really difficult to deal with as a therapist, because the first thing you want to do is jump in and say, you know what, you're not doing this right. Sign off of this whole I want to be a parent thing, because it's not working for you. You're pretty cold, you're rude, you're detached, you're uncaring, and you don't know how to comfort when that child, even that adult child, needs that comfort from you, right? These kind of parents may be very distant and permissive. They may have been that way as you were growing up as a child. What I mean by permissive is, a permissive parent just kind of lets anything go, right? You do whatever you want to do. I don't care what it is. Just get out of my hair. I'm sure you've seen, or hopefully not experienced, the kind of parents who are like, usually say things like, you know what? Just leave me alone. I'm tired of hearing you. I'm tired of hearing you guys making noise in this house. Just go outside and play. Go outside and play. Parents who are not emotionally detached may say things like that, but emotionally detached and permissive parents tend to do it the most, because they don't want to raise. They don't want to do the work. They like the fun part of being the parent, they don't like the hard part of being a parent. A healthy parent takes both worlds into consideration. The world that is difficult with the child, and that could be behavior, that could be mental health issues, that could be, any kind of social issues that child is having, any kind of academic issues the child is having. It's difficult to raise a child all the way around, right? It's difficult. But parents who take the good with the bad and they know how to balance both the difficulties with the child and the good, fun, exciting pieces of being a parent, if you know how to take those two things and be both of those things and embrace those things, you're a healthy parent. But the parent who kind of pushes away the difficulties of the child and takes all the good is not a very healthy parent, because that child has to have a balanced parent in order to have a balanced childhood, right? There has to be that balance between, okay, you're difficult and there's some things I have to do to raise you. You're a human being coming up in the world. I have to teach you. I have to make you knowledgeable. I have to make you kind. I have to teach you empathy. I have to love you even in the times where you're being smart to me and mean and hurtful and disrespectful. I still have to love you. But I also love being your parent because you're beautiful and you're handsome and you're wonderful and you're funny and you're fun to be around. When a parent can take those two things into consideration, that's a healthy parent. It's the permissive parent that is not okay, because they want to be the adult child or the child's friend or buddy or pal rather than that parent. And so boundaries get confused and communication gets a little bit difficult, right? You also want to think of a permissive parent as the kind of parent that says, you know what, I know you're having trouble. This is the adult child. I know you're having trouble with your husband. I know you didn't know marriage would be difficult. And I know you're dealing with postpartum depression and you're having trouble on your job. But I can't deal with that right now because I'm having issues myself. So let me tell you about what's going on with me. That's how the permissive parent of an adult child would be. They don't want to hear what you have to say that's difficult. They don't necessarily want to embrace the difficulties of your life. They want you to either hear them, be their friend, be their mental health therapist, be their supporter, or they just want to have the wonderful pieces and parts of who you are. They could care less about what you're going through. Okay. So the emotionally detached parent could be the permissive and the distant parent. Okay. The mechanical parent, and this is the parent who is emotionally detached because they know that there's certain behaviors that they have to display in order to be tagged a parent or to carry that label of a parent. So mechanical behaviors may be, I'm going to make you a school lunch every day because I know I have to. I'm going to go and buy you some clothes and shoes and pants, socks, whatever, because I know I have to. I'm going to engage you in the Christmas holiday and make sure that I cook and clean and put gifts under the tree because I have to, right? Or if you're an adult child, right, with this kind of a parent, I'm going to come to your wedding and give you a little bit of advice I heard sometime in my past because I know I have to, right? I'm going to stand up at this wedding or this birthday party or this barbecue or this family gathering and act like the best parent in the world to you, even though later on I know that I'm not going to care about anything that you have to say to me. And I'm probably not going to answer the phone when you have a problem because I really don't care. Okay. That is a parent that knows how to be a mechanical parent. They know how to display those behaviors, even though deep down inside, they know that's not who they really are, right? You also want to consider that an emotionally detached parent is avoidant and they operate from a distance. They operate from a distance. I'm going to call you on the phone and see how you're doing, but I'm not going to visit your house, right? I'm not going to necessarily be interested in what's happening on your job, but just because I'm your parent and I'm labeled your parent, I'm going to call you and ask you how things are at work. And as soon as you tell me, I'll cut you off and start talking about something else, right? So an avoidant parent who tends to be distant is also emotionally detached. You also want to consider, last but not least, in describing who these parents are, is a substance abusing, hostile parent with trauma that's unresolved. That is most likely going to be an emotionally detached parent as well. I'm going to go to the chat box, make sure that I kind of embrace all of you and see who's talking. engage in the chat with you, and then I'm going to tell you what these kind of parents actually do, and you may have experienced some of the things I'm going to bring up. Okay. All right. So let me go back up here. Mel Kep says, I heard about it, but I haven't read it yet. Yeah, you've heard about the Adult Children of Emotionally Detached Parents book. Yeah, yeah, I encourage you to go read it. It's a good one. Okay. Hello, Sunflower Heather. Welcome to the chat. I haven't seen you live in a while. Glad to see you today. Says very happy to be here. Hello, Tim fam. Hugs back to you. Thank you so much. Cheryl says, boy, you just nailed my mother, Tamara. Oh my God. It's a good thing that I understand these parents, Cheryl, but it's also a bad thing that I nailed your mom. I let me just empathize with you and anybody else who has an emotionally detached parent. I simply can't wrap my mind around how parents can be emotionally detached. I'm a very empathic, emotional, touchy feely kind of a person when I am needed or when someone needs me, or just the way that I see the world through my own lens. And to imagine myself bringing a child into the world and completely neglecting it is just foreign to me. And I tend to have a really good mom. My mom, though, however, just for some appropriate self-disclosure, it might be helpful for you to hear this. My own mom had an emotionally detached mom. I love my grandmother, and she loves her mom, but my grandmother just wasn't equipped at the time, and she was so young when she had my mom in 1957. I think it was just hard for her to be a young girl and then newly married and then had my mom and then had my uncle a year after that. I just think it was really hard for her to juggle that. And she had her own unresolved trauma. And so, my grandmother was pretty emotionally detached for many, many years before she became the good grandmother that I know. So I empathize with you, Cheryl, and anybody else on this chat that has an emotionally detached parent. It's really hard to wrap your mind around how a parent can neglect their child. We think parents are supposed to be the loving, caring, good parents. And unfortunately, we have people in this world who just simply don't know how to be a parent. And then we also have those people who are narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths, and those with extreme severe trauma, maybe even complex trauma, who just simply can't be a good parent. It's not that they don't want to, they just simply can't. Okay, so let me turn this off. I thought I turned this off. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay. This is okay. Believe it or not, I'm actually this is a client, so I have to answer this. But I want to continue answering your comments here, so I don't want to get distracted. Malkep says, "Man, I can't remember my childhood, but from what I see now, a lot went wrong." Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes, as that adult, you can look back on your childhood and you can kind of inspect your childhood. That's what a lot of my clients are doing, primarily the ones that I've been seeing for many, many years. They just take some downtime and they process different stages of their child development, even into late adolescence, early adulthood. And that's where the light bulb usually comes on that, oh my God, I had this emotionally detached parent and didn't know it all along. It's hard even while you're doing that self exploration, that introspection, to embrace the fact that, oh my God, I had a parent that wasn't healthy. I had a parent that was emotionally detached, and I also had a parent that just didn't simply get me. That's a painful reality for sure. Hello, so totally over this. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you. I'm going to put these on. I've been getting headaches a lot, so I have to wear my Blu-ray glasses for a little bit here. So totally over this says, we are taught to honor our mother and our father. So as a child, you can't see it. Yeah, absolutely. Let me just say that if you grew up in a Christian home very much like I did, if you grew up in a religious household, a Catholic household, a Baptist household, a Pentecostal household, excuse me, whatever that religious household was, you know as well as I do that there are many scriptures in the Bible that talks about honoring thy mother and thy father, right? And being respectful and listening to your parents. And I embrace those scriptures. I really do. I think they're helpful. I was raised on them and I do believe in them. However, Where things get tricky is you are told to hear those scriptures sometimes from abusive parents, or you have an emotionally detached parent who may use these scriptures, or other people in your family. You may have gone to church and heard this in day camp or some kind of Bible school, and it really makes it hard for you to figure out where you need to be, right? Because if you're grappling with scriptures like honor thy mother and thy father and thy days will be many, that's the scripture in its entirety. Then you're coming from an angle with an emotionally detached parent of anger, right? You're going to be angry, you're going to feel abused, you're going to feel neglected, you're going to feel unloved and overlooked. So is that the scripture that you actually want to read and embrace? Probably not, right? That's not something that you're going to readily be open to, because it doesn't refer to you in your particular situation, right? So totally over this. I very much agree. And when you are under scripture, oh, so sorry. When you are under scriptures like that, it also makes it really hard for you to see that you're in an unhealthy family dynamic, because all you care about is just being pleasing and respectful, right? Thank you for that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, Sam says, I never realized all the stuff I didn't have until someone says what you're supposed to have. Yeah, absolutely. Same thing happened to my mom. My mom didn't know that she was raising herself in her late, maybe I should say middle adolescence. So she's about 15, middle adolescence into her early adulthood. She didn't know she was raising herself until my grandmother's spouse brought it up. My grandmother's boyfriend at the time said to my mom, he says, you're raising yourself. And my mom said that was the moment where she realized, it was like a light bulb went off. You know what? He's right. I am raising myself. So you're right, Sam. Sometimes it takes somebody else to bring these things up for you to say, you know what? That's me. And you're probably going to get that light bulb moment tonight as I go along as well. Hello, Kate. Welcome to the chat. So glad to see you. Says, how can you deal with an emotionally detached parent? Yeah, I have lots of videos on this channel where I talk about that. And I will try to come back probably this Sunday with a video on emotionally detached parents. And I will give you tools on how to manage your situation. You can also find some tips in the book, Adult Children of Emotionally Detached Parents. You can also find some tips in there as well if you didn't see that from earlier. Natasha says, I learned to understand what a good enough parent is, forgive and reparent myself, because this wound travels from childhood through adulthood. Now, as a mother myself, I try very hard to be self-aware. Yeah, absolutely. What a lovely comment. Thank you for that. I think that all of that probably fell into place for you as well, because you are a therapist. I think we therapists are so emotionally intelligent that the things that we didn't have, we know how to recreate that or create that for our own children. We also know how to kind of go within and do some self introspection or some introspection, and really move that trauma so we can do better and get better and just be better than what we experienced ourselves. But outside of you being a therapist, it just sounds like you needed something, you didn't get it, and you want to be that kind of a parent for your children. I think that's beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful. I love that. All right. So Kay Bond says, when I was little, I remember asking my mom all the time, "Do you love me?" As a mom now, I say that to my daughter without any reservations. Wow. Oh my goodness. Um, I would say that if you're asking your parent, "Do you love me?" depending on what the context is and depending on how your tone of voice sound, I think it's healthy, but I also think sometimes when children ask questions like that, that's because they're missing something and they know they're missing something. And so they're asking for validation, they're asking for clarification, they're asking for proof that they are loved. So, Kay, I wonder if you were doing that because you just wanted to know, or were you doing that because something's missing and you knew it and you just didn't know how to get those needs met until you would ask the question, "Do you love me?" So let me know what that was for you. In my life book, my book of life, for example, I tend to believe that if a child is asking that question, they know it's because they don't really have it. They just need validation and confirmation. All right. Oh my goodness. My laptop is going to die, guys, and I don't know why. Give me 1 second. I don't want to lose you. I feel like this happens almost every chat. All All right, I'm gonna plug this in and then we'll keep going, okay? All right, so let me pause on the comments, okay, guys, and let me jump into the content here just so that we can make some headway before 6:30 because that's when we're going to wrap up. It's a short 30-minute live this week. But if I asked you what is an emotionally detached parent, would you know how to describe it? Would you know how to tell me what kind of parent this is and what are the steps that they take and the behaviors that they display? Would you know that? Well, let me just start with the first thing. And unfortunately, this happens in more households than we think, and it also happens in more ways than we think. Sometimes there's parents who have had really checkered past, and the first sign that an emotionally detached parent exists is a history of a string of failed relationships. Now, research suggests in this area of study that a string of failed relationships kind of highlights that the individual doesn't either know how to manage the relationship, they don't know how to manage their own emotions, or they have a hard time with communication. And all three of those things is what is needed to be an emotionally attached and attentive parent. So a string of failed relationships is usually what we see as a first sign of emotionally detached parents. It's not something that happens all the time, but research does back up that if you have an emotionally detached parent, there's likely a history of a string of failed relationships. Now, the next thing is poor self regulation and poor self control, right? We have emotionally detached parents who are not emotionally attached to you, but they tend to be very emotional, hostile, angry, resentful most of the time. And some of that is because they don't want to be a parent in the first place, right? You may have, and hopefully you didn't have experience with this, but you may have heard of the parent who wanted a baby and all they wanted was a baby and that's all they ever cared about. And as soon as the baby came, they became emotionally detached. They realized it was too hard. They realized that there was a lot of themselves that they needed to give attention, emotional attention, psychological attention. Teaching the child, being there for all the milestones, dealing with any mental health or developmental issues. Like a child is a really difficult commitment, right? Or human being to bring into the world. Children are difficult. They're beautiful, they're sweet sometimes, but they are difficult, right? So an emotionally detached parent may be the kind of parent who all they wanted was that child, all they wanted was that baby. And when that baby got here, they just totally became detached because they realized that there was a lot more to the puzzle than they thought. Well, these kind of parents can become over time really, really emotional and hostile and angry and controlling. And so it can be really difficult for them to control that. So poor self regulation and poor emotional control. The next thing is identity confusion. Now, I think a lot of us are still trying to figure out who they are, even those of us who are like me over the age of 34. We're trying to figure out still what is this life that we're living in, right? What is this mindset that I am? What is in this heart that I have, right? I think we're constantly on this road of self-development and self-identification. But for emotionally detached parents, it's almost like they've skipped a milestone or they skipped a really important developmental stage and they tend to be confused. They don't know who they are. And when you don't know who you are, it's going to be a little bit difficult to cater to something or someone, I should say, that doesn't know who they are as well, which would be a child, right? If you're an adult child, who's trying to relate to your emotionally detached parent, they're still in a mode of trying to figure out who they are, most likely, right? So there's a lot of identity confusion with an emotionally detached parent. That's why they're emotionally detached in the first place, for the most part, because they don't really know who they are. They're not in touch with who they are in here and who they are here. Most emotionally detached or unavailable parents, they just kind of live this life of experiencing. They experience relationships and experience different experiences. They experience different milestones and experience different things in life, but they are never fully attached to the experience, if you know what I mean. They don't grow from it, they don't learn from it, they don't experience it in a way that helps them grow and build, right? And build layers of who they are as a developing person. So that identity confusion can really, what's the word I'm looking for here, guys? It can really throw your own identity off, and it can really hurt you emotionally because you need a parent who is firm in their identity, especially as an adult. Even as an accomplished adult as I am, I still go to my mother and I'm like, Mom, can you believe this happened to me the other day? Or Mom, I'm thinking these thoughts and I don't know what to do with them. Do I really need to be here? Do I need to go there? Do I need to feel that? Like, help me, Mom. And my mom can actually give me some intuitive feedback because she's firm in her identity. She's 65, so she's firm in her identity. But if you have a parent who isn't firm in his or her identity, then you don't get that kind of emotional support. So there you are, experiencing that emotionally detached and unavailable parent all over again. It's like it's following you from childhood to adulthood. The other thing too is no listening skills or poor listening skills. Now, as a therapist, I have to listen all the time. So there's a lot of different ways that we have to listen. And Natasha, I'm sure that you're well aware of that as well. We have to listen. We have to actively listen to you, meaning that we are giving you eye contact, we're nodding, our body language is saying we are open to what you are saying. We are hearing every word that you are saying. We also have to reflect to you what we're hearing, right? So, as a therapist, you may say to me, Tamara, my mother is just so difficult, you know, and I can say something in return, like what I've heard you say in this session, and it's a common theme, is that your mom is very detached. She's not what you need. Is that what I'm hearing? So I'm reflecting and then I'm checking in to make sure that I'm hearing what I think I'm hearing. My mom has done that with me over the years, and good parents do it. Aware parents do it, right? They sit down with you, they ask questions, they really try to get inside of your heart, inside of your mind. We also have to paraphrase sometimes so that we can understand what's really being said. So if you're actively listening and tuning in, you're going to do those things, right? You're going to paraphrase, you're going to reflect, you're going to ask some questions, and you're going to give the behavioral display, I'll say that for lack of a better word, in how you're reacting non-verbally, that you're actually listening to the person. So emotionally detached or unavailable parents can't do that. They always seem like they're up over here looking at something, or maybe they're sitting like this while you're talking, which looks so detached, right? Or hey, guess what? I seen this a couple weeks ago with a parent. Maybe they're just like this, and you're trying to open up and they're on their phone, right? So those kind of parents, they can break you down emotionally and psychologically over time. Let me get to the chat box, guys. I don't want to ignore you on here. I want to make sure that I'm getting to all of you. Oh my goodness. So totally over says, why is my name in red? Is it still red? I don't know. If it is, I have no idea. Maybe that's a new YouTube thing. I don't know. I don't know. Let me know what happens with that. Night Charm, hello, welcome to the chat. So glad to have you. I don't remember seeing you, so welcome to the chat. Says, my mom is the first one in my life that will help me financially, but she is not emotional at all. We have no emotional closeness. She also uses the fact that she helps me with money to belittle me. Yeah, so let me jump on this because this is a very, very, very good comment. Parents who are emotionally detached will help you financially. Sometimes there are those parents, and I think my grandmother, before she became a good grandma, a good mom, I think she was the same exact way. They will give you money, they will help you with your education, they will help you move out, they'll even give you advice, they'll help you with your dating and your marriage situation. They may also give you some information on stocks and taxes and how to buy a house and how to buy a car. But when it comes to needing that parent who can feel your emotions and intuitively discern on a phone that you need them emotionally, or they can help you process what's going through your mind and what's happening in your life, that kind of parent, they tend to be, the loving parent tends to be the one that can do all those things, right? connect with you, be emotional. But sometimes those emotionally detached parents can't do the emotional thing and the literal concrete thing of teaching you about life. And so, those kind of emotionally detached parents are complicated because they look like they're helping you, right? They look like they're helping, they look like they love you, they look like, they're there to support you. And yet, when you need to talk to them, or you need them to reflect something to you, or you need them to kind of, hear what you have to say, and then just be there to help you figure things out, they're not there because they're not that kind of parent. That's still an emotionally detached and unavailable parent by the books, right? They still meet that definition, even if they help you financially, or they educate you, or they give you something else in exchange for the lack of emotion. Now, a parent who belittles you because they financially support you or something like that, that's a complicated scenario. And I actually will put that under the heading of a narcissistic parent, using the fact that they help you. That should never come up ever, even in an argument. It just shouldn't be. It shouldn't be on the table at all. So, all right, that was a very good. That was a very good comment. Thank you for that. Heretic Her, hello, welcome to the chat. So glad to see you. I don't think I've ever seen you before, so welcome to the chat. Says, I grew up not knowing I was loved by any of my family members, working through attachment issues I carry into mid age. It's tough. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because if you don't get that early life experience, or that early attachment with a parent, it alters how you perceive relationships over time. It also alters how you engage in relationships over time, and then it alters how you perceive the world in general. And so you're kind of operating with one leg or one arm, so to speak. You can feel kind of imbalanced in your life because those early attachments, those early emotional attachments, and those early experiences with a parent paints the rest of your life. Now, there's a such thing known as resiliency, and you can be resilient, learn, grow, get better, and change over time, or start to trust over time. But it's really difficult. So you're right. You're right. It is really difficult. And the older you get, the more difficult it can seem to get as well, right? Because as you experience deception in the world, and falsehood and unauthenticity, and as you begin to struggle in your own relationships, you just kind of build up this wall of protection because you don't want to be hurt again, right? So it can get more difficult in middle age. I agree. All right, so let's keep going. Oh geez, I hit the wrong button again. I do this every live chat, don't I, guys? Anissa Natalia, hello, welcome to the chat. Says, honoring your mother and father goes hand in hand with not provoking your children to wrath. So true. And if my brother was on this chat, I have two, younger and older. If my older brother was on this chat, he would so applaud you, because he used to say that all the time. Anytime he and my mom would get into a spat when he was an adolescent, he would be like, well, don't provoke that child to wrath. And I would be like, oh my God, I had to be like 9 or 10. I would be like, oh God, this is never going to end. But you're right. You're right. Night Charm says, there are way more complexities to the situation, but that is a summation of it. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure. Rad Angel, hello. Welcome to the chat. I don't remember seeing you either. So welcome to the live chat. Says, two narc parents, one diagnosed bipolar, other never sought diagnosis, but high anxiety. Cut ties 1 year next month. Longest ever. Yeah, good for you. I love good parents. I love when children and parents can be like this. I feel blessed to have a really good, supportive, caring mother. So I wish other people had that as well. But if you have to walk away because it's unhealthy, walk away. It is what it is. You can't help that you were given that kind of a parent. So then, you have to kind of make that mature decision and walk away sometimes. So, and I'm coming back to this topic of emotionally detached parents, where I'm going to try to highlight as best I can for you ways to be okay with being alone in your family. And I've talked about this a lot in the past, so stay tuned for that. Okay. Um, yes, you're welcome. Blessed in every area of my life. Said, this is much needed. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, you're welcome, Natasha. Yep. Awesome. All right. Kate Bond says, yes, I meant like she never said that freely to me. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I get what you mean. I get what you mean. She just never said I love you to me at all unless I asked her. Oh, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. One of the things kids really grab onto is they're very intuitive, if you guys haven't noticed, and that's one of the reasons why I like being a child psychotherapist, because I connect well with kiddos. I just do. And one of the reasons why I think is because they're so intuitive. They know me through and through before I even start talking to them, right? Sometimes I go to session with a kind of outfit on that says, I'm in a little bit of a position of authority, and I know some things, and I'm going to help you with it. Or sometimes I go in with glasses on, or sometimes I go in with my hair a different way. No matter how many different looks I have, or different ways I approach a child, they got me. They know who I am. I don't even have to even try to look a different way, right? Or even portray something that I'm not. They know. And so, okay, Bond, kids are really good. They're intuitive. And if you sense that your parent didn't love you, you were most likely correct. And I hate to say that, and a parent should never, never create a situation where the child has to ask, "Do you love me?" Because that's mistake number one. Something's gone wrong right away, right? Something's gone wrong when a child has to ask, "Do you love me?" And it's a question that's kind of short-sighted, because if you have to ask, then maybe the love isn't there to begin with, and by you asking, you're kind of tapping that parent on the shoulder and saying, remember, I'm your child, you're supposed to love me. And so of course the parent is going to say, yes, I love you. It shouldn't be that way. It should be, I love you, right? I love you as my child. So there's a lot to say about that. I can do a whole chat on that. Rad Angel says, "You must have met my mom, Miss T." Oh, I'm so sorry. Uh, uh, yeah. Let me just say, I think that most emotionally detached parents have issues of their own. I don't think that they are all cold hearted. So I want to throw that out there, because there are some emotionally detached parents who, on their deathbed or in some really difficult times, they can turn around and look at you and say, "I've always loved you. I just didn't know how to show you, or I just didn't know how to tell you." So there's those kind of parents as well. But for the most part, emotionally detached parents are just unequipped. I'll put it that way. Yes, yes, Cheryl. She says you are very blessed to have a mom like that. Absolutely. Amen. And I very much agree. Very much agree. Yes, it is. I'm a 6:30 Sunflower Heather. I love you. Thank you so much for that, because I'm late. I'm like 10 minutes behind. But I want to give you guys the rest of the content, and then I'm going to wrap up. Tracy Spacey says, "I can't find the book on Amazon." Is it the adult? Hold on. Let me look this up for you. Let me get this for you one last time. It is Okay, it's by Lindsay Gibson. Okay, so it's Adult Children of Emotionally Detached Parents, and it's by Lindsay Gibson. She's under New Harbinger Publications, which is also my publisher. So even if you go to newharbingerpublications.com, you can find the book there and order it there as well. I hope that helps. If not, I will go ahead and post that link in the description box below. All right, so let's get back to the content. I'm going to go to the chat box, then we're going to say sayonara for the rest of the day. Okay, so I think we left off at no listening skills. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so an emotionally detached parent also tends to view parenting as employment. And here's what I mean by that: emotionally detached parents always keep a distance with their children emotionally and psychologically. They either don't know how to, or they don't want to get involved into the emotional and psychological space of the child. It's taxing, right? Being a parent is almost like being a therapist. You have to be able to hold the child's emotional needs, psychological needs, their self-esteem, their hang-ups, the barriers they're facing, the challenges they're like. You have to be able to hold all of that and say, okay, I got it, until you can hold all of this. And that's basically what a therapist is as well. We hold everything until you're able to process it, or deal with it, or manage it, or hold it yourself. And so a parent who's emotionally detached doesn't want to do that, right? There's a lot of work in that, and it's taxing physically, emotionally, psychologically. So they view being a parent as employment. They're only available when they need to be. They're only available certain days of the week, certain times of the year. or when they feel like they need to be available, right? The school calls the house because you were fighting, they need to go to the school. Or you're getting married and you're feeling anxious and you called your mom and so she's going to talk to you, right? You've been arrested or you've been hospitalized or you've had a child of your own or you eloped and made a huge mistake and you want to talk to your parent and so they're there for you, right? But it's only based on certain characteristics or certain standards or certain criteria, and then they're going to be a parent, right? So they kind of view it as employment. I'm there when I need to be, I'm not there because I want to be, right? The next one is love is conditional. We just talked about this. Love is conditional. They love you based on condition. Do really good in school and make me look good. I love you. Don't share information with the public, and let's look like we're a happy, loving family. Then I will love you, right? Get good jobs and be a successful adult and show that I raised you well, then I'll love you. So love is conditional. The other thing is the parent tends to be really unauthentic and fake, right? So nothing they do comes across to you as authentic. Everything feels plastered, fake, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of manufactured, if you will. There's no true love in that parent's heart, right? And they don't necessarily think about you in a way that's loving. So everything they do is probably based on condition, like I just said, but everything they do is it just looks like it's manufactured. It doesn't feel real. It just feels fake, right? This next characteristic of an emotionally detached parent is something I'm going to continue to talk about on this channel. And let me know if you want me to do a live chat on this. I have at least 20 requests for this topic. It's the envious and jealous parent. And I hate to say this, but there are some parents who are just envious of their children, they're jealous of their child, and they can't help it. It is what it is, right? They're either jealous or envious because that child has characteristics they didn't have. They're envious or jealous because the child's attractive and they aren't, or they don't feel that they are, right? They're either jealous or envious because that child gets grandma and grandpa support and the parent didn't, or the parent didn't. The child gets the love and the support, but the parent doesn't, right? So that grandparent, kind of becomes this piece within a family where the parent just becomes, the emotionally detached parent just becomes jealous or envious of the child because of that, right? I hope that makes sense. Or the envious or jealous parent is just an envious and jealous person, and you just happen to be their child. So sometimes, because that emotional connection is not there, you're almost like a stranger to them, right? And so it's easy to become jealous of a stranger. It's easy to become envious of your child when you're not attached emotionally, right? So you're most likely going to see that kind of a parent, and you're going to see them display those characteristics. Think of a jealous or envious person that you've had in your life. What does that look like, right? And so you're likely to see that with an emotionally detached parent as well. These kind of parents also lack frustration tolerance. They don't know how to tolerate frustration. They don't know how to tolerate things that aggravates them. So they become hostile, sometimes even physically abusive. Sometimes there's a lot of domestic violence. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of yelling and screaming over the years. And even as an adult child, they don't know how to manage you. They don't know how to manage disagreements with you because they have a low frustration tolerance. Emotionally detached parents also may have personality disorders like narcissistic personality disorder. They may have antisocial personality traits where, at a pretty extreme level, they can appear to be a sociopath or a psychopath. You also want to keep in mind that emotionally detached parents may also have a paranoid personality disorder. They are paranoid at the core. You can't treat their paranoia with medication. They just tend to be a paranoid kind of a person. All right, let me go to the chat box and let's get out of here because I'm definitely late. Sam says, I appreciate everything you do, Tamara. Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. That helps me continue to bring you guys content. And let me just say, just for 5 minutes here, a little less than 5 minutes, I appreciate all of you as well. You guys are wonderful supporters for my channel. You keep me in the ranks on YouTube, and I really love you and really appreciate you for that. Because what happens when you hit the like button, when you comment, when you chat, when you watch my videos, just watching my videos, even repeatedly, helps us stay at the top of the search box in YouTube. And so that makes the videos and the live chats available to everybody on YouTube. So other people like you are getting in touch and subscribing. So thank you so much for that. All right. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl says, whenever you put the at sign in front of a name, it makes it red. I would have never thought that. Thank you so much for that. All right. Dragon Man Sasson. Hello. Welcome to the chat. So glad to see you. I'm signing off here in a little bit, but I'm glad to see you. Caitlin Brown. Hello. Welcome to the chat. So glad to see you. You're welcome, Night Charm. You're welcome. Yeah, Night Charm says, I've been a quiet watcher for a while. Yeah, no worries. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that. I'm that kind of a watcher too, so don't feel bad. Don't feel bad at all. All right. Hello, Teen. Welcome, TN. Welcome to the chat. So glad to see you as well. Emily Vay. Hello. Welcome to the chat. Says, I cannot believe I just hit the button again. There we go. Okay. Emily Vay says, what do you do if you feel like your parents depend on you to fulfill their emotional needs? So you can do one of two things. You can either cater to them in a way that's okay, or you can cater to them with boundaries, right? Or you can step out of that completely and not do it at all, because once you start catering to them emotionally, they're going to expect that from you for a long time. The tables are turned and you don't want that, right? They're supposed to cater to you, not you to them. Now, if you're an adult child, right, you're supposed to balance that adult relationship. You show love, they show love. You have emotional attachment to them, they have an emotional attachment to you. But if you're showing all the love and they're way back here barely giving you anything, then you're in a the tables are turned, right? So you're in a situation that you shouldn't be in, and I wouldn't even go into that, or I would back out of that. That would be my best suggestion for you. That was a good question. Thank you for that. Very good question. Okay, I'm gonna mess this up. Piku Omina. I messed that up. I know I did. Welcome to the chat. You probably know who you are. Welcome to the chat. Glad to see you. Says, the relationship felt so superficial. I'm getting older and decided to go no contact to heal. Yeah, absolutely. If a relationship with a parent feels superficial, back away, because most likely it is. Most likely it is. And you're not going to get anything that you need and hear from that parent. Annabis, the opener of Ways, says hello, Tamara, and hello to the chat. Hello, glad to see you. Welcome. I'm signing off here, but glad to see you. Annie Welker says, thanks for this topic. You're welcome. My mother never touched me or said I love you in my childhood, 60 now, and just understanding it had nothing to do with me. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very, very good point. Thank you for bringing that up, because I think a lot of adult children believe that it must be me as to the reason why my parent doesn't love me and doesn't seem to embrace me. It must be they didn't want me. I must have made them angry. They must resent me, or there's a reason why they don't love me at all. And that's not the case. I think for the majority of people who have emotionally detached parents, the parent is the big issue, not the child. Even a child who is problematic or has mental health issues or whatever the case may be, they're still loved by that loving parent. So no matter what it is that you do, no matter what it is that you do, a good parent still loves you at the core. So it's not your fault. I think that's the best thing to keep in mind. It is not your fault. Okay. Yeah. Rad Angel says, then you end up in bad romantic relationships. Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't have that healthy early attachment. Parents are the most important piece of a child's development. And research suggests that the same sex parent, so that father for the son, that mother for the daughter, is the most important piece of the emotional development puzzle for a child. So you're right. Then you grow up to have these unhealthy relationships in the long run because you didn't get what you should have got as a child. Absolutely. Sunflower Heather says children are very keen and do not miss a thing. I think kids' feelings and thoughts are discounted way too often in general. Yeah, I do too. I do too. And that's kind of one of the most important foundational principles of my own private practice, which is that children are heard. And even when I'm having a conversation with parents, I make sure that I say, do you want to say anything, my dear? Do you have anything to add to the conversation? Or, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? Or I give the child the table first, or the stage first, and then I bring the parent in. So you're right. I think kids are discounted way too much, and they need an adult to step up and say, no, 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 you speak. I want to hear what you have to say, you know? Yeah, Annie Walker says it's all transactional for them. Yes, it is. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sam says it's insane how just anyone is allowed to have a child. Yeah, I agree. I don't think everybody needs to be a parent, right? And unfortunately, adoption agencies and foster care centers and agencies can't even control that, right? It's like, take this child in and give them a life. But unfortunately, even people who adopt children shouldn't have children. You know what I mean? Even if they're loving and they're providing for the needs of that adopted or foster child, they still probably don't need the child if they're not going to be emotionally connected to the child. You know, I wish there was something we could do about parents that just shouldn't have children. You know, Tracy Spacey says, I only see emotionally immature parents, but not a book that says detached in the title. Oh, okay. I'm going to post that link in the description box. Just hang on. All right. Yeah, absolutely. You guys are saying yes. You want me to do a topic? Absolutely. I certainly will. Spicy Cat, welcome to the chat, says they manipulate you by crying. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. They know those buttons and they push them. They push them. Deborah Hubert, hello, welcome to the chat. So glad to see you. Says hello, everyone. Hope you had an amazing day. My granddaughter left me a message that she was diagnosed with PTSD and bipolar disorder. Oh my goodness, yeah, yeah. And I wonder, I don't remember your story, Deborah, so I can't go back and comment on this, but I'm sorry to hear that. It's not a life sentence. Thank God she can heal from PTSD, and thank God she can heal and control bipolar disorder if she gets the right medication and the right treatment provider. The right treatment provider is like utopia, right? Because you can have all the medicine in the world and have the worst therapist and just not get anywhere. Oh my goodness, Kay. Thank you. She says the book is on sale for $9.59. Just added it to my cart. Wonderful. She's talking about the emotionally detached book. CRB, welcome to the chat. Nice to see you. Says people who are going to be parents should go through some sort of courses or schooling. There needs to be more information for new parents. I very much agree with that. You know, but how do we X out from those courses, those good parents, right? Those intuitively good parents, you know? So it's like, I wish that existed, but it's like, how do you even manage that? You know what I mean? I know adopted parents have to go through that and foster parents have to go through that, but biological parents, it would be helpful, you know, if there are certain like risk factors that we could look at and markers or some kind of signs, you know, that would be really helpful. All right, guys, I have to run. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being on the chat with me, for jumping on and doing all this chatting. I will come back with a video and I will come back with a live chat on this. I've been talking about dissociation. So if you haven't watched that video, head on over there and watch that video. I'm going to talk about as well dissociation with emotionally detached parents, because that's a thing. So I want you to know about that. I just saw Marie sign on, says, thanks for expanding on this topic, Tamara. Is very helpful. You're welcome. You're welcome. So glad you came on as well, Marie. Thank you so much, guys. I will see you in the next live chat in the next video. Good night.